One of the biggest issues when you have a white dog is the staining of the fur, especially around the mouth. Orange face syndrome, anyone? Well, no need to worry. In this video, we're talking about why this happens and what you can do to prevent it. I'm Miruna, this is Sami the Westie, and today we're gonna answer one of the most asked questions, which is, how do I keep my dog so white? If you have a Westie or any other breed of white dog, you may have noticed that their fur started to develop this rusty brown kind of stain that doesn't come off no matter what you do. So why does this happen? There's a number of reasons. The biggest one I would say is moisture. Whenever your dog's hair is wet, it oxidizes, which means it turns brown. Now, this doesn't happen overnight, obviously, but if your dog, for example, salivates a lot or drinks water, eats, and stays with their mouth wet, moist, every day, repeatedly, after a number of days, you'll start to notice that their hair starts to turn pink. And then as time goes by, it just becomes more and more red-brown. So it's gradual, and the bad news is once it gets to that stage, there's nothing you can do. Once it's brown, it won't come out, and all you can do is just wait for it to grow back. And here's where genetics plays a big part too, because every dog is different, right? And some dogs have saliva that is more acid than others, which means that some dogs are more predisposed to developing the brown stains. Not much you can do about that. It's genetics. All you can do really is just do things to prevent this from happening. And I'm gonna get to that later in this video. I'm gonna share with you the things that I do at home to keep Sami like this. But before I do that, I'm gonna tell you a story. So I get this question a lot, right? People message me on our Instagram asking me, how do you keep Sami so white? And up until now, I wasn't really able to make this video because I used to think that I'm actually just lucky, that Sami is just naturally white like this and he just never gets stains. And you know, I used to answer people that it's mostly genetic and some dogs just happen to develop stains and others don't. And boy, was I wrong. I realized that last year when we had to travel without Sami at some point. So I left him at boarding at dog school for 10 days. And long story short, when I picked him up, he had those brown stains. So what happened was he stayed there during winter and it was rainy season. So it rained nonstop, day after day. And he would just walk in the wet grass. His paws would be wet all the time. And he has this thing that whenever his paws are wet, he licks them because he thinks that he's drying them off. When in fact, he's just making it worse, right? Because he's just adding more moisture. And he had allergies at the time, I remember as well, which made him lick his paws even more. And of course, nobody would wipe his mouth after he ate or he drank water. He just came back all stained. Maybe you won't be able to see it so well on camera because I noticed that whenever Sami is dirty, he still looks white on camera. But the truth is, in real life, he just had his mouth and his paws completely stained, and no matter how much I tried to clean him, I even gave him a bath with one of those whitening shampoos that are supposed to enhance the white of the hair. They didn't do anything, okay? So just the fur was just stained, and all I could do was wait for it to grow out. It took about 2 months for him to go back to his normal self. And that is how I learned that actually my dog is not special and that he still develops these brown stains, and it's just things that I apparently do at home that I didn't realize were so important in keeping him white. And the most important one of them is that I try to wipe his mouth every time after he drinks water or eats. Now, I work from home, so I'm at home a lot with Sami, which means that whenever he drinks water, I happen to be there with a kitchen towel to just dab his chin. And it's mostly, I do that mostly because I hate it when he drips water all over the house. So I try to do that as much as possible. Maybe I don't get it every time he drinks water, but I do it enough that it's a habit. This also goes for after his meals, especially now that I'm feeding him a home-cooked diet. Before, when he used to eat kibble, it wasn't such a big deal. But now I feed him a lot of foods that are orange. Things like sweet potato, pumpkin, carrots. He eats one of these things for every meal. And that means that if I don't clean his mouth after he eats, he's gonna have orange face. So I got into the habit of keeping some wet wipes in the kitchen, and every time after he finishes eating, we have this ritual where I ask him if he ate everything and if he liked it and if it was good. And then I wipe his mouth, and I get in there really well to just take out all the orange. He's not a fan of it, but he tolerates it. So I just rub that really well. I use some dog wipes with no fragrance so that he doesn't hate it even more. And I do that twice a day after every meal, and I think it helps a lot. That's the first thing that I advise you to do. Just dab their mouth after drinking, after eating. For example, if they chew on toys and they enjoy doing that, try to maybe dab at their mouth after, because it's moisture that just stays there, and with time it will stain. Another thing we do is Sami gets groomed every month. So trimming the area, of the mouth and the paws once a month really helps keep that hair, fresh and white. Because I noticed that when he was younger, I used to keep his coat really long and fluffy, and I would only groom him every maybe 2-3 months. And I did notice the tips of the hairs turn a little bit red, even if I try to keep him clean as much as possible. So I think that keeping the coat fresh also helps keep it white. Then whatever you feed matters as well. For example, if you feed kibble with artificial colorants, red dye, stuff like that, that will have an impact on the fur as well. So try to feed him natural foods as much as possible, foods without artificial colorants, and you're good. And then there are some other things that people have said that I cannot confirm because I don't really know, but I'm going to share them with you as well because maybe they help. One is people say that you should switch from a metal bowl to a ceramic one or a glass one, and that apparently stainless steel or metal in general oxidizes the hair. Now again, I don't know if that's true. I actually have 2 bowls for Sami. One of them is metal and the other one is ceramic. It just happened that way. They don't really match. I didn't put any thought into it. It's just some bowls that I have, and that's what we use. So his water bowl is, I think, stainless steel, and the food one is ceramic. I don't feel the need to change anything because I feel like everything is good as it is. But if you're doing all of the things that I mentioned before and your dog is still having these stains even after a few months, then you might consider switching to ceramic bowls. Another thing people have said is switch to bottled water instead of tap water. Now, I can't confirm that either because Sami drinks tap water. I guess it would depend on where you live and what the tap water is like. But if you have tried all of the other things and nothing worked, maybe consider switching to bottled water. And the last thing that I would add in here is brush your dog's teeth as often as possible. Ideally, it would be every day, but if you can't, then at least twice a week would make a difference because you keep the mouth clean, you keep the teeth clean, and I'm sure that has an impact as well on the hairs around the mouth. That's something I do as well. If you've been watching my previous videos, you know that I try to brush Sami's teeth every night before we go to bed. And that has nothing to do with keeping him white. It's just something I do because I know that in the long run, gum health and teeth health is important. So yeah, these are the things that I do to keep my dog so white. I hope that you found this video useful. Leave me a comment below and tell me if there's anything else that I'm missing, any other tips that you have for us. As usual, hit the like button below and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And if you want to show your appreciation even more than that, you can buy Sami a treat by giving us a super thanks down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!